Hi, this is Priyanka and I welcome you all to Srijan Wednesday webinars. If you are attending for the first time, this is the community initiative where we will be hosting webinars every alternate Wednesday. We will have speakers from different domains who will talk about subjects like front-end technologies, UI UX, mobile apps, media, entrepreneurship, digital marketing and many more. Our today's webinar is focused on transitioning from Express.js to HapiJS. So in the first 40 minutes, the speaker will talk about how these two frameworks are different and what makes HapiJS a great framework for development. The last 15 minutes will be for a live Q&A round. I request you all to please type in any questions that you have during the webinar and we will take them up towards the end of this session. I would now like to introduce our speaker for today's webinar. We have with us Shobit Bakliwal. Shobit is Node.js developer at Codigami, a technology company that builds products for managing social media accounts more effectively. Thank you for joining us in today's webinar, Shobit. So without taking any more time, I would now like to hand over the session to Shobit. Shobit, over to you.
Yeah, hi, this is Shobit from Codigami, and today I'll be talking about transitioning from Express.js to Hapi.js. Hapi is actually sort of a new framework as compared to Express, and it is really great for delivering business value, and today we'll see how. So let's talk about Express.js first, the good parts. Express is actually really very easy to get started. You just have to write a route and just return the value whatever you want to return from the server, and it just gets sent. There is no complexity over here when you are actually trying to start using Express. Then another thing is there is no kind of configuration you have to do in Express, which is great for example, if you want to create an API which supports only 2 endpoints. So only for 2 endpoints, I don't think you would want to actually write massive amounts of code to just make them live. You just want, like, okay, there are only 2 methods I want to write and they should return blah blah blah, and the client should get the answer. So that is what actually Express is focused on. Then it has been actively maintained for a very long time. Express was probably the first, not first, but like one of the first popular frameworks of Node, and its maintainer TJ did an excellent job of promoting it and making it very easy to understand. And TJ was also actually responsible for maintaining a lot of projects, which were among them was Express, and Express was the most popular project he maintained and had given a lot of support to it. Then Express is actually very good for new developers to start getting productive in Node, because the API surface is very small, and they just have to learn like a dozen of APIs and just get down with it. So they don't need to actually write any middleware or anything to just start getting productive, and that is why Express is actually a very popular choice among Node developers. But Express is not really a great solution when you're trying to create large enterprise apps. So if you want to like write a small API for consumption in your mobile phones, or you want to just create a proxy API which actually talks to your backend, Express would be a great solution for that. But if you want to like have multiple APIs with multiple authentication and some very complex stuff, Express would not be really productive in the long run for that. Then there is no clarity on its future. Its lead maintainer TJ actually handed over Express to a company called Strong Loop. Strong Loop actually maintains one framework which is known as Loopback, which is one of its core products. So Strong Loop is actually seen by other community members as a company which would not rather help Express to work in the way community wants, but it would actually make it work in the way they want to make more profit. So this is how actually it is currently seen, and right now there is no clarity about what will happen to Express in the future. Then testing is really very tough in Express. You have to refactor a lot of code out, and that is also very difficult, because again you have not written any test to know whether the server is working or not before refactoring the code out, and even after refactoring out, you have to install like dozens of dependencies before actually being able to test Express in a logical way. Then another problem with it is because it is not really having any opinion of its own. Everyone develops its own opinion about it. So the way person A uses Express is very different from a person B using Express. So there is no common thinking about Express, and that makes the modularization of its code very difficult. And it has been actually supporting a lot of legacy systems, and that is why it is not actually being able to innovate at a speed it was able to before. So Express is getting a bit unpopular, I would say, and so that is why we have Hapi. So this is the logo which the people at Spumco have chosen for Hapi. So what is Hapi, and basically what is its philosophy? So Hapi was actually initially created to serve APIs for Walmart Lab and their website. So Hapi is nothing but a short form of HTTP API. So one of the philosophies it handles is that configuration is always better than code. So what they actually mean over here is that, for example, if you want to validate an API endpoint and its inputs, you want to actually check whether you are getting the said inputs or not, whether they are in the correct format or not. So for all those, Hapi has actually created configurations, and you could just plug and play those configurations, and it will work as expected. So it actually believes that writing configuration than code makes you more productive, because now you have to actually test the business logic of your application, because rest of the part is handled by configuration. Configuration is shareable among routes because they are actually functions and nothing else. So those functions have to be anyway created, so they can be shared very easily among different routes. So for example, there are like 10 routes which need a user object before moving forward. So you can actually write a configuration which says that fetch the user object before giving it to the business logic. So in that configuration can be shared among all the routes which need that user object. So configuration is very shareable, and actually thus it makes you very productive in the long run. And since everything is these small minute details which are to be handled everywhere have been handled now in configuration, you can actually focus on writing business logic, and you don't have to test like am I getting this variable or not, am I getting this parameter or not, because configuration is doing that for you. Now you can only focus on whatever needs to be done in the business logic part. And one of the best things I like about Hapi is that it gives you specific methods to test your routes. So what it actually gives you is an inject method where you can specify what kind of a request you want to send, and then it has a callback, and in that callback you can see the response what you are getting, and is it the correct response or not. And since it is in code only, since the testing will be in code only, you can also check whether the changes had been made in database and all that. So integration testing is very easy for Hapi, and if you actually write integration tests and all, so you would be able to refactor your code in a better way. So that is why developers of Hapi are actually on the late. Most of the projects on Hapi are on the latest version, because most of the people have written tests for them and are able to actually move forward to the newer versions and don't need the older versions. So what are the bragging rights of Hapi as compared to, I guess, Express or any other web framework? The biggest thing according to me is they have 100% code coverage. Now 100% code coverage might seem like an unnecessary thing at first, but according to Iran Hammer, who was the creator of Hapi, they got one major bug for every percentage gained in code coverage from 80 to 100. So basically, from what they're saying is, if they move their code coverage from 81 to 82%, they found a major bug which would not have been found, like this code will not run, or probably this piece will execute in a different way than expected, or they forgot to send out headers for the request or response. So these are not small bugs, these are like big bugs which you won't be able to test because you rely on your framework to actually work in the correct way. So 100% code coverage actually gives you the confidence to know that the framework will not behave unexpectedly. Now they have a full-time dedicated team of 4 members who are sponsored by Walmart Labs. They get paid to actually work on Hapi.js, because Walmart is actually investing a lot of their resources on Hapi and relying a lot on it. So it's not like you would find that this project is gone tomorrow because the maintainer is not inspired enough. They are actually getting paid to do it, and they actually love to do it, and that is why Hapi will seem a better choice for creating large enterprise apps which need to be supported for a long time. Then the documentation of Hapi is great. Every little method, every little option, every little configuration, everything is documented, and they are all on the same page, HapiJS.com/API. You would find yourself going to that page a lot and after some time you will not need to go, because most of the documentation and the code style is very consistent. So what you actually find from reading the documentation, you can actually guess them. So for example, after working on Hapi for like a year or so, I'm now able to actually guess what I should actually send to get this kind of behavior. So another big thing about it is that it is designed for Walmart scale, and Walmart is actually a really traffic heavy site, and they get tons of traffic every day, but the biggest problem for them was the Black Friday. Black Friday in US especially is celebrated as sort of a consumer day, because every site is bombarding people with great offers and all that. So the Walmart actually had a problem, because they had to just buy new servers for that one day, and then it would go useless, and because the traffic would eventually drop out. But during the blackout period, it actually spikes to a very high number, probably around 12 to 13 times. So what they actually did was they created their site in Node, and the framework which they have extracted out, also known as Hapi, was created actually to support that kind of load for any period of time. So it actually scales really gracefully and well. So we have like even in our offices we have we have tons of services written in Hapi, and they are actually serving probably 1 million users every day, and we haven't had any load fault or problems with the traffic, and the Amazon bill is also not really high for us. So yeah, if you want to actually scale a lot in Hapi, you can do it very easily because it is actually designed for high scale. So let's take a look at some live examples now. Let's first of all see how an hello world program how do you write a hello world program in Hapi. Actually behind the scenes I have actually done all the installation and all that, so that we don't waste time installing libraries. So the first thing is that as you can see, I have highlighted it. Probably you won't be able to. Yeah. So the first thing is we have to require Hapi, which is kind of obvious. The next thing which I have written is finding the port. I actually do it this way because now I can move the port's value into a environment variable and just change it from there, and then we create a server like this. Now if you want to see how a hello world program is written, in Express, the port number is actually given when the server is starting, like you can see over here. So there is this subtle difference in Hapi which actually asks the port number before you actually start, so that you can actually export this server object to a different file and then probably use the cluster module or whatever else you want to do and start that server without worrying about the port number. So now the configuration has been done before. You just have to write the business logic in a different file and get done with it. So this is a subtle but very useful difference in Hapi as compared to Express. Then we actually add the route, which is the server object which we have gotten from Hapi accepts a route object which needs to have a method, a path, and handler. So method is probably, you guessed it, HTTP method, the one which you are trying to call. Then the path is the relative path from the domain which you have, and then the handler which would be executed when the request comes. So if you think about it, it's very similar to Express, where you write app.get, which basically means the get method of HTTP, and then run the path is given, and then you given the handler. So everything is written here explicitly, and a lot of things here are implicit. So this is actually very similar to Express, but sort of different in a subtle way. So yeah. And what you have to do to send data back is just call the response method with whatever you want to send. So that is a hello world program. I mean, yeah, obviously you have to start the server then. So that is how you write a hello world program in Hapi.js. Now compared to Express, which I've written over here, compared to Express, this does seem a lot of work, but as you realize that when you are creating a lot of routes, the work doesn't really matter, because here you get a flexibility of, for example, writing method name in the configuration object. So now you can actually pass in this name from a different file, or probably pass in the routes from a different file, which I will show you later on how to do that. But you won't be able to do that in Express, because here the app object needs to call the get method, and then it needs to have the path and then handler. So it is really very difficult to actually provide to scale up this code, not in the sense of performance, but in the sense of usage or design, because now a lot of the methods are dependent upon this object. So you will have to actually send this object again and then register route over there, and then probably have a function over there, an object over there which returns a function which it needs to call. So this actually gets a little confusing, and that is why for scalable design systems you would actually prefer to use Hapi. So let's try to run this hello world program. So I am actually in the same folder as this one. So I write node hello world and I press enter. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to go to localhost port 8000, write hello and enter. So as you can see, I'm getting the response as hello world as shown over here. Now if you want to send, for example, JSON, you could simply create an object here and send the JSON like this. So after you have made the changes, I simply created an object, a JSON object, and I'm just trying to send it back. So I'll have to restart my server. I restarted the server and I go back to this page and I hit refresh. So now I'm getting a JSON response. So everything like setting the headers of this response and how to actually pass this response, convert it to string, and all that is handled by Hapi. I don't have to worry about how to actually do it. So in Express, I think you would have to call a method response.json and then send in the object, which you won't have to do it here. And obviously to do that you will need a middleware over there, but nothing like here. So as also I've said, Hapi has been created for making APIs. So that is why it also actually has support for JSON objects built right into it. So after looking at hello world, let's move up a little bit. Let's write a program where we would need a variable from query. So I've actually, in the interest of time, I've actually written this down beforehand. So I'll just walk you through it. The first line is obviously requiring the Hapi module, and the second line is requiring the joy module. Now this joy module is also given by Hapi only. It was actually a part of Hapi before, then they actually refactored it out and put it as a different module, so you could actually use it with any other framework who would want to use it. So after getting the joy module, it's the same setup, the port number and the server, and then we create a route. Now if you want to see, the route is actually very similar to this one, to the hello world program. The method is there, the path is there, but instead of using handler, we are using a config block over here, and inside config we have a handler. So this is to actually, this has been done actually to state that we want to use a configuration over here and run our inputs or outputs through that configuration and then to the business logic. So what will happen over here is this handler will work only when this validate configuration is complete. So in validate I've written that the query needs to have a name, or probably not needs to, but query has a name which should be a string and an alphanumeric string. So if I don't have a name, it will actually just move on and do nothing, probably give, oh yeah, sorry. So I'll have to close this server and start the query validation server before that, and yeah. So if I send in hello name is equal to Shobit, it actually works the way, because it saw that in validation it saw that the 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 parameter is a string and it is alphanumeric. So it actually went ahead and said gave a green flag to it. Internally, how it works is it actually sends back a joy object, which these functions actually send back, and there they have the validation rules set up, and Hapi is actually reading from those validation rules and then figuring out what to do. So this works very well. This is how you actually bring a parameter from query. You have to write the request or use the request object and bring in the query from that, and the name of the query is actually name. So that is why I have written name over here. So going back, if I actually remove this thing and just call hello, it will say hello undefined. Now, why did it not actually throw an error when I have simply written with that the name parameter should be a string and alphanumeric? The reason it did not throw any error was because I did not specify that it was required or was it optional. As in, if I don't specify anything, it assumes that it is optional. So in the case of optional, what it does is, if the parameter is present, only then apply the validation rules to it. If it is not present, don't apply it to it. So now if I want to actually make it strict that it needs to be there, I just have to write not required and restart the server, and I go back and it throws an error. The error is basically status code 400 error. Status code is basically 400, that the code HTTP code. The error is the sort of error which you are getting, and the message is what is the problem you are facing. And this is how actually you can a client can know what wrong did it do and how what should it actually show to the user. So now you can actually go and write stuff with full confidence over here that this parameter will be present, otherwise this thing will not be called. This handler will not be called at all, because if the parameter is not present or it is not a string, the handler should not be called, is what we have written over here in the validation. So compare it to Express, you will have to probably remove it, and you will have to write stuff like name is equal to request dot query dot name or nothing, and then you will have to write name over here, and you will have to do this every time you have to use this name function, and you will then probably move it to a different function, and it's all really very messy, and this is not really confident programming, because you have to remember that every time you call a parameter or a body function or body variable or a query variable, you have to check whether it is present or not. So that kind of thing is something which Hapi allows you to eliminate. Now, other thing which you can do is like set up more validation, and by more I mean like different types of validation. So before we had a string validation, now we have a number validation. So this validation basically states that number with minimum value 100, and it should come without username. So don't. This is actually really very readable, because it is sort of like normal English, and this helps you to serve to use your routes file as an API documentation and later fill into the correct API docs. So if we try this and you go here, oh, oops, I must have messed up something. Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. And I try to hit refresh. It says that the name is not there, obviously. So I enter a name, and it says the ID is not there. So basically, what it is looking for is that the name should be there and the ID should be there. So if I turn it to optional and then restart the server, it should work correctly. Yeah, so it does work correctly over here. If only I turn the required flag to optional flag. So that is how you can actually do query validation over here in Hapi. Another great thing, thing is caching. So Hapi actually supports both the kind of caching, server and client. For caching, what you have to do is actually just write a normal server route with a config in it, and in config you need to provide a key which is cache. Now cache requires two kinds of things: the mode, which you need to set server, or add plus client over here if you want to use client-side caching too. And then there's another option called expires in, which basically states 5 into 60 into 1000, basically 5 minutes. So this route has been, after it has been called for first time, it will be cached for 5 minutes before releasing the cache. So I was not a I don't know. You have to actually take my word for it, because showing it is very difficult. So this is how actually you can simply add caching to the routes and not fiddle with the business logic at all. So you can have tons of things over here, like you can have any big processes over here, and usually what you do is in that processes you write code to test whether it is cached or not, and then for everything you will have to write, okay, can I find it in cache? If not, then go to the database. So instead of doing that, you simply write a cache for this route, and set up a time uh, or a function. It actually accepts a function also. Set up a timer function and see whether it has expired or not. If it has expired, you'll have to obviously run the process again, but not, you can directly send the response right away. So caching is very simple in Hapi, and since it is all in the configuration side, you don't have to mess up your business logic. You don't have to worry about whether I can find it in, whether it is there in the cache or not. So this is how actually you can use the configuration part of Hapi and be more productive. So because when you try to do all these in lots and lots of routes, you will feel that you are actually wasting a lot of your time in just writing whether the cache is present, whether the query is valid, whether the body is valid, whether the parameter name is valid. So that kind of thing. Yeah. So let's look at another example as of now. Let's take a look at how you can create RESTful routes in Hapi. So the initial lines are actually similar as the previous ones. So in here, what you are actually seeing is a path has parentheses in its value. Now, most of the servers actually use colon for parameters in paths, but colon is a perfectly valid URI character, and that is why Hapi chose to use the more standard parentheses. So in order to retrieve these, you have to write code like request.params.id. So when you write this, you will be able to fetch the value of user slash ID over here, and then use it to find the user and return that user to the client. So this is how you would be writing RESTful routes. But if you notice, this piece of code, like data getting value from database, needs to be written at almost every route, because you would need the users data for probably all kinds of things, and also here you need to write if error, then send response happy dot error dot bad request and stuff like that. So then this right now it is just 4 to 5 lines of code. That is why it doesn't seem really impressive, but most of the times you have to write a lot of things over here, and you tend to actually replicate that a lot of at a lot of different places. So what you would do, you would probably think that you should write a helper function over it for it. So you actually put it into a different function and use it there. So what Hapi actually does is it allows you to register a helper function with the server. So you can actually register a helper function with the server. All you have to do is create the function. So user function ID, and it accepts a callback. So here you write database.get user ID, and then whatever the value you've got, use it like happy.error.notfound basically means that the page you're looking for is not found, the 404 error code. So yeah, so the server.helper method is the method which actually registers the method in server, and then you can use it later on like server.helper.user. So this is perfectly valid code in Hapi. So server.helper.user, then request parameters and ID, and then again you can obviously write validation over here, which I have not written for because I wanted to actually show the point of helpers. So yeah, you can actually write validation over here, and then with full confidence write request.parameter ID over here, and you don't have to check for anything, and simply get a return response, and you just return it. But so what usually happens is for caching, you don't have to cache the entire route, but you probably want to cache this user object. So the server helper actually can be used for caching also. So it can have its own cache, and you can write expire in like 2000 seconds, probably 2000 milliseconds and stuff like that. So now you don't have to worry about the caching over here. This just needs to have the logic about how to serve the data to the client. Server.helper will actually focus on whatever it needs to focus on, like probably caching for the user, caching at the database level, and all that thing. So this is how Hapi helps you to actually create usable helper methods everywhere, and those helper methods have their own configuration also. So this makes the code very modular and very readable also. So another cool thing which I would like to show you is testing. So this is how you can actually create a route also. You don't have to write server.route and then put the objects in there. You can create an array of routes and keep pushing the route objects inside them and export them, and later do server.route, then insert that routes object into that the routes array into it, and just run the server. So this way now you can actually pull your routes out of the main server.js file and put it somewhere else, and with it over there. So what I've written over here is a simple route which if it is given an ID, it returns an ID, returns the same ID with the name of it, and if it is given some data which is coming in the body. The body in Hapi is not dot body; it is used as payload. So you will get a success if it is saved. Like if you want to do stuff over here, probably save it to database, and you get the object in return. So now I can actually test these routes, and I've written code for that, and this is how actually we can move forward. So I'll just comment it out. I've just set up Mocha over here and included the should module. So I've created a function to create a new server. I've named it new server, and during every test case, I've created a server and injected the URL, whatever I want to call, inside it. So I'm inject basically means to what do you say? To simulate. So profiles, the URL should be profiles, and if you want to look at over here, it's profiles, then /ID, and that is what I'm sending over here. And the function, the handler of this URL actually has only a single argument, which is response. Now response has a status code, which on success should be 200. The response has a body which is written in the result. The response.result.id should equal to, and this response result name should be equal to name #2, because that is the logic I have written over here. So now if I run these, I have actually set up all the Mocha and all the npm test tasks behind the scenes. So I have to do is npm test, and it actually runs. So you can see test routes sends back the details for ID, and it passed. So I was using the router, which was this one, the router which I had exported over here, and I created a server over here which was basically a Hapi server, and it had routes at this router which we exported earlier. Then I injected the details I want to inject in this server, and I got the response, and the response was actually probably correct. That is why the tests are passing, and that's it. So just a sec. Yeah, so I guess I just have to show you one more testing way. This is the last thing I'll show you, and I'll take a leave then. This is how you can actually test payload. So it's actually pretty similar. You create a server, then you inject everything into it. The options actually take URL, the method, and the payload. Sadly, payload needs to be a JSON string, so you have to create a payload object and then stringify it, and then run test, and that is it. You get the two passing. Oops, it looks like I wrote the same name. Yeah, so you get two passing test cases. This is how you can actually use Hapi to create your next enterprise level application, and not worry a lot about how to use what. Yeah, so I guess I'm done with what I wanted to do. So anyway, so this was what you could actually do in Hapi. There's actually more to it. For that, you actually need to read the APIs. The documentation can be found at hapijs.com/API. If you need anything, you need any help from me, you can actually ask a question right now, or this is the Twitter handle which I use. You can tweet anytime you want. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Shobit. That was a great session. And I hope it was a great presentation and everybody found it very insightful and those examples were very interesting. And I hope these guys will now start exploring and using HapiJS for their future projects. Moving on, I'm sure you guys have a couple of questions. So please press the raise hand button on your control panel if you want to ask your question using your microphone, or you can type your questions in the chat box below. So I've already started getting questions, Shobit. I'm going to start with our first question here. Sambit wants to ask, does it have any lint for API? Lint, L-I-N-T.
Lint. Okay. So I actually don't use lint, so I'm not really a good guy to answer that. My friend actually uses HapiJS, and yeah, he uses lint mostly for JavaScript, but not for Hapi. And I don't think Hapi is really at a critical mass to get lint of its own. So I'll have to actually check and not. This is like just a hunch answer, but most probably it's not.
All right, not a problem. Thank you, Shobit, for your answer. Sambit, we can get Shobit to look into it and we'll get back to you with the answer in our subsequent mail. I'm going to take my next question here. Abhilash wants to know how should he start with HapiJS because he is new to JavaScript. Do you want to probably share some resources with him?
Okay, yeah. So if you're new to JavaScript, I don't recommend starting with HapiJS. I would suggest you actually learn JavaScript first because the language itself has a lot of intricacies in it, and to be frank, it's not really a well designed language, but yeah, it gets the job done. And the first thing you should actually do is learn what are the good parts and what are the bad parts about JavaScript. After you have actually gone through JavaScript, created a couple of programs and all, you should actually take a look at the request response cycle and what is that. That is a bit theoretical part which you would need to cover, and then you can actually go to HapiJS.com. There is a well-maintained guide over there. Then another thing which you can use is there is a great package called Make Me Happy. The spelling is make, M-A-K-E-M-E-H-A-P-I. So the package is great. My colleague actually contributes to that package. So that is a good way to get started, because what it does is it actually gives you exercises and you have to complete those exercises. So it will run its own tests according to what the code you have written, and it will show whether you have done it right or wrong. So the link, I don't actually remember the link to that thing, but you can actually find, if you just Google Make Me Happy, the first link probably will be to that. You can actually tweet me if you want the link, I'll give it to you. And that after you complete those Make Me Happy tutorials, those exercises, you should probably create a to-do list API. So that would actually help you to go through all the things like fetching from database, using the user object and all those things. And then later you should actually try and skim through the HapiJS's documentation, which is at hapijs.com/API. So I guess that if you follow this path, you would probably be great for Hapi.
All right. Thank you so much, Shobit. I have shared the link of Make Me Happy with all these participants. Moving on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Moving on, we have a couple of technical questions from Azharuddin. He wants to know,
Okay.
are helpers the same as middlewares?
Okay. So middleware is a different thing and helper is a different thing. Middleware is sort of a thing which gets called every time. Every time before the request hits the business logic or any logic for that matter, the middleware gets executed, and then the next middleware gets executed, and then the next middleware gets executed. Helpers are not middlewares in the sense that you need to actually evoke those helpers and use it whenever you want. So they are sort of, I won't say them, they are sort of a shared object between your server routes, which you can which has different functions which you can call whenever you want. To write a middleware in Hapi, if you want to know that, there is this .ext method which is basically short for extension, and it has like some half a dozen hooks where you can actually put the middleware in, do some processing, for example logging and all. I had actually prepared that middleware example also, but like I don't think I have much time left. So the middleware, so yeah, that is why middleware is not a helper. Helper is something you can call whenever you want using the server.helper.method name. Middleware is something which is called every time the request is, whenever the request comes. So yeah, the performance hit is, the middleware actually also decreases your performance because it does some processes before giving it to the business logic, whereas helper is something you would have to write it anyway, but you have just abstracted out into a function and written it somewhere else.
Okay, thank you so much, Shobit. I request all participants to type in any more questions that they have, and we are going to take a few more questions here. Shobit, I request you to please answer all questions very patiently. I'm sure if we extend by a few minutes, our audience won't mind. Although we'll try to keep it within the time limit. So I'm going to take the next question by Azruddin. He wants to know, is the response on handler function a writable stream as we have in event handler for data event of service?
Yeah, it's a writable stream, but you should, if you are looking for sending out streams, you should check out the documentation. They have a different way to actually send out streams. So I suggest you check that thing, and you will get some technical words over there. Yeah, the documentation is probably a better answer for that, because it's a very big topic, and I don't even remember everything exactly. But yeah, if you want, like, you can send it through just the response function also.
Okay. Shobit, do you think there will be a link to the documentation that you would like to share after the webinar that we will be able to share with Azruddin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's HapiJS.com/API.
Okay. All right. Azruddin, I hope you got that. If you have a follow-up question, please feel free to type in. In the meanwhile, I'm going to take our next question here. Lalit wants to ask, have you ever tried running Express versus Hapi performance test?
To be fair, no, I haven't written that because we like only work for about 1 million users, and that seems a big number, and it is actually a big number, but in Nodeland that is not really a very impressive number, and so the performance wise I didn't actually test it out, but what I actually did was I actually saw some load testing results for different frameworks, in which included Express and Hapi, and they were like neck to neck. So if you just simply run the hello world, which is the top speed program you can ever write, they perform very similar, like probably there is no difference at all, to be frank. You get difference probably at 1 million requests per second. So, and that is a really big scale, which is for which you have to anyways optimize in a different way. but what I actually did was I took Walmart's word for it, because uh, they they actually were able to handle the Black Friday traffic, which is like about 12 to 15 times the normal traffic they have, without requiring any extra servers. So yeah, that's all I know about it. I haven't run any performance tests, and I'm not claiming over here that Happy is the fastest or Express is not. Uh, but Express is damn fast. Like, it's not slow. It's good enough for any of the programs you would be writing.
Thank you, Shobit. I'm sure everyone understands here that these are basically learning sessions, and these learnings are based on the experiences of professionals. So, moving on, Azruddin has a follow-up question. He's saying, so I am assuming body parsers, session parsers, cookies, CSRF are already built in handed.
Yeah. They have been already built in.
Okay, so I will take my last question here. Murali wants you to please provide a brief on configurations.
I guess this whole process, this whole session was on configuration, but okay. So in configuration, you have like a lot of different things you can do. There is this pre option which lets you run different which lets you run basically different what do you call functions before executing the real function, real business logic which you want. So if you want to check whether it's an authenticated request, it's an authorized request, and stuff like that, you want to actually convert the cookie values into something more readable for your business logic, you can do it using the pre option. Pre option accepts an array of functions which also you have to provide whether you want to run serially or parallelly. So that is one which I frequently use. Then there is validation. Obviously, validation is about the validation of inputs. You can also validate the outputs and tell yourself that you might have done something wrong. Then there is caching. Caching has a whole lot of things like mode, which mode you want to use. Like, you can use Reddit. Reddit, sorry, not Reddit. You can use client based, the server based, or you can use which cache store you want. You can use memcache. You can use Redis, not Reddit, Redis, and all that. And then you can actually, I guess, that's it. These are the three sort of configurations you can use. You can actually bring in the configurations from different files, and they could be JSON files, they could be normal JavaScript files, and you can add it to them by simply calling the functions. I actually intended to show you a real life project where we used validation. We did not actually use configuration over there, but how to actually import stuff from different files and how we did that. But these are the three main configurations you will find in different projects, and these are the three ones which actually matter. Some other ones which you can find are probably it finds, if I remember correctly, it was whether there's a cookie present or not, and whether the session is set or not. Is it a CRLF request, and those kind of things. But Hapi has changed its API surface a lot, and in the current release it is trying to reduce the number of configurations and making them work in these number of configurations, because broadly speaking these are the things you have to do. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Shobit. I hope Murli, Shobit was able to give you a right brief on configurations. So I think that's about
Otherwise, you
it.
can just hit me up on Twitter.
Yeah, you could always connect with him on Twitter or write back to us with the follow-up questions. So I would request everyone who has any sort of feedback or suggestions or questions after the webinar to please drop us a mail at webinars@srijan.in and we'll get back to you. So thank you so much once again, Shobit, and we are sure everyone found your presentation very interesting and insightful. A big thank you to all the attendees for joining us in today's webinar. I would also like to announce that our next webinar is on routing in Drupal 8, decoupling the hook menu, by Ashish Thakur on 17th of September. We will be sending you the registration link and more details in a subsequent mail. So stay tuned and have a great day.